class. Everybody sit down. How's everybody doing? Yeah, nice long weekend. I know, it was awesome. I enjoyed myself too. Okay, before we do anything else, I just want to go back and review some of the terms we learned last time. Okay? The first one was paradox, which is the combining of ideas that are different. Remember that, okay? The second one was ambiguity. We all like talking about that one because it was full of vagueness, which refers to multiple meanings within the text. So you'll read one thing and it could mean one thing or another. I know it's pretty simple, but I gotta tell you anyway. The third one, was tension, which are ideas that pull away from each other. We talked about that in reference to horror movies or suspenseful stories where things are pulling apart and you're going, oh no, remember that? Yeah, I know. All of that is tension, and the last one is irony, and that's the one I wanted to go over again. I told you last time that it means something different connotatively than denotatively. What that means is that what's actually being written down is not necessarily what's being meant, which is a bit ironic, so there you go. A good example I want you all to think about in reference to this is the prologue to Romeo and Juliet. Remember we talked about that last week with the Capulet house and the Montague house, which is Juliet and Romeo's house, you know, those people. They said that these are two houses alike in dignity. But we talked about how all of the adults in the story really weren't being very dignified and adult-like because everything went to absolute as worse as it possibly could be, and the kids wound up killing themselves at the end, so obviously these weren't very dignified houses. So that's a good example of irony, saying that they're alike in dignity, but there's really no dignity for either of them. Okay, that being said, let's go into the poem that you should have read for the preparation for today's class. You liked that one, right? Because it was only 3 lines. I know, I'm awesome. You can thank me later. This one's by Ezra Pound, just in case you didn't see that. And I'll go ahead and read it to you since it's short. In a station of the metro, the apparition of these faces, petals on a wet black bough. For those of you who don't know, bough is a branch, like on a tree. So there you go. What do we think about that one? Doesn't really make much sense, does it? Because it's just an image in time rather than what you think of as a traditional poem. Does anybody think about the terms that we discussed last week while reading this poem? Yeah, it's a little vague. There's lots of ambiguity to it, huh? There's a little bit of tension for the reader because you feel these images going on. You don't really know what's happening because there isn't any action in the story or in the poem. So yeah, there's a lot of all these terms in it. So that being said, let's break into our 4-group scheme, and we're going to do a close reading of the poem. 4 groups. Okay, the Earth group, I want you to talk about the paradox, see the things that are opposite ideas within the same lines. You know, I know you'll see what I'm talking about. Air, I want you to talk about ambiguity, discuss all the things that are vague in the poem. Water, I want you to talk about irony, the things that are different in connotation than denotation. I know we just talked about that. I know it's a little bit tricky, but I'm pretty sure you guys can handle it. If you need any help, let me know. Last group, fire, you're going to talk about the tension, the things that are pulling you apart in the story. After this is done, then we will discuss a Christina Perry song, which is also a form of poetry, and we'll discuss how these ideas and terms apply to her poem as well. So you guys go ahead and break up, get together, discuss these terms. You've got 3 minutes, okay?